things just with the animation of controlling that if you've animated in Maya or some other program, remember the graph editor and stuff like that, well, they have that inside of here as well. So when I'm actually, let me go inside of one of these. Which one was this? I can't remember. Wait for it. Okay, this will work. So wherever I have keyframes and stuff, and you can see like my keyframes that are set here, having things animate, there's an option right up here. We could turn on little things, enable motion blur. So now things will actually globally blur, which is kind of nice. Just adding that quick little touch makes animation look nicer. But I also have a graph editor just like I do inside of Maya. So this is my graph we could see here, and very much like the graph editor in Maya, these are the keyframes, and we could see how they're flowing from one keyframe to the next. We can snap them. But over to the right, edit the selected keyframe. We can also go in and do an auto, like convert selected keyframe to linear. Let me close this because it's hard to see. We can convert selected frames to a hold, linear, or Bezier curve. And what's really cool is right at the end, I can add ease in and ease out to an animation. So easy ease, I know that's kind of funny. Easy ease actually adds ease in and ease out, or I can just independently add ease in or ease out. Do you guys remember or know what ease in and ease out means in animation? Everybody, yes, no? No, so basically, think of a car. So when a car is moving, when it starts to accelerate, no matter how fast that car is, it doesn't instantaneously jump to full speed. It eases into it. So that means it starts off slower until it reaches its top speed. That's ease in. It eases in to whatever the top speed of the motion it's going to do. Ease out is a car, unless it abruptly hits something, is going to slow down, right? So it's not just going to abruptly, oh, I'm just going to stop at a dime and just instantly just stop like that, because you would turn into chunky salsa inside, so it wouldn't be pretty. But what it's going to do is it's going to slow down until it comes to a stop. And that makes animation look a lot smoother at times. Sometimes you don't necessarily want it because you actually want it to be poppy, and kind of break that law a little bit. But typically what you want, if I have something, is you'll have it kind of slow, accelerate to the speed it's supposed to be going, and then slow down before it comes to a stop. And that's what ease in and ease out is. So actually bringing that, like if I select a keyframe in here of whatever it is, like right now this is poppy, but if I'd wanted the rotation to actually have that, if I had selected, whoops, hello, yeah, be careful of that, deselect, and then just draw a selection around whatever it is you want, and then added that. Do you see how it curved that? And then I could do the same for these guys. Add a little ease in, ease out. If I zoom in, I could see that curve now. So it starts to ease in, meaning that it accelerates, reaches its peak, and then slows down. So now, if I were to show that, that kind of animation right there, right here, do you see it? It didn't pop in, it kind of accelerated, and then it kind of came to a stop after that.
So where is this?
Not again. You just click on this icon right here, and then whatever layer I've selected and keys I've selected is going to zoom in on them. And I can also Alt, or if you're on a Mac keyboard, Option, middle mouse to zoom in and out, or I can use my little guy down here to zoom in and out. You typically do want to zoom in so that you can see it, because from a distance you're not going to notice any hiccups or weird curves or things like that. It's also nice because you see I have these handles here that I can actually tweak because they're weighted. So just doing that is sort of like, you see how it does a little anticipation now? And that's kind of cool right there, see? So if I went in and added that little anticipation every time before it turns, it kind of goes, here I go, boom, and then it goes forward. You know, so that's anticipation. And now we also have ease in and ease out. This is the part of why you don't want whatever you're working on too long, because then you don't have time to do these little tweaks and to actually make the animation that much more effective. Getting the animations down is not the hardest part. Tweaking it out, get the timing right, having the motion right, that's the part of polish that takes a long time. Not blocking it out and just getting it moving. It's that little finesse that you actually add to it. So if I actually go in and I started doing that to, this is Alt middle mouse button dragging left to right. So now I can really see those curves. See that? And now if I just select, you see when I select, I can now grab and pull these guys up, add a little bit of a hiccup. So once again, that's going to give me that little anticipation of going the opposite direction, whoosh, and then it goes right in. If I wanted to add just a little bit of that extra of it going a little bit too far, then I could actually pull this downward. And now watch what happens when I hit spacebar. This is kind of cool. See that? Then I tighten it up and speed things up. But that adds a nice little effect of just animation principles and actually a little bit of physics as well, right? That things aren't just going to, just stop immediately. Dating myself greatly, there was a show when I was a kid called, very short show, was Cheeseball, and just, as best as they could do with effects, but called Automan. And it was a guy who was a hologram. He created a living hologram long before they even did holograms, or the holodeck on Star Trek or whatever. And, he was very neon-y, but he would just make whatever he wanted out of holograms, but it always had this neon-tron, outline glow to it. And he had a car, it looked like a Lamborghini, but it was black with this neon trim, little thin line, looked cool. But when he would drive it, it was just, he'd be going 80 miles an hour, but it didn't do curves. It would just instantaneously jump to a 90-degree angle, which was fine for him, but whenever he had somebody in the car, he would make a turn. It wasn't like, oh, let me go like this, ease in, ease out. It literally, 1 second he's here, and then a split second he's going 80 miles the next direction. So whenever somebody was in there, they would immediately just go bam right to the side window, because he just wouldn't. There wasn't no turning as we know it. It was just literally a sharp, no pause, just boom like this. So it was really funny. If you ever go to YouTube and take a look at it, it's kind of hilarious and dated. But realistically, we obviously don't do that, even if we could. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at this stuff, But I thought this would help you out when you guys start really finessing your animation. Go into the graph editor and just start tweaking a little bit some of these. Save often. It happens, Weird things happen when you start working in the graph editor. But we can easily see this adds a nice little touch to it.
And we need to upload these, correct?
Yes, which means, so the last was like, oh, I want to save a movie out, which there is a movie on the site, but if I say, oh, I want to save this out, I make it the length of however far it's gotten by tightening this up here. Give it like a little extra right up to there. And I'd say, oh, I want to see what this looks like if I render this out as a quick movie. So I go to composition, up at the top in the menu, add to render queue or control M. And now here it is here. And I want the best settings. I click on where it says lossless. And I just make sure, if I have sound in there, I want to make sure sound is turned on. I don't like to, you can resize it in here if you're trying to save speed, you know, like time and size or whatever. I usually don't resize it through here, but some, you know, if you have to, you have to. Video output, AVI or QuickTime. I would choose QuickTime. And then the format options, what it's asking you are the codecs. And the codec is the, what manner of compression do you want? Uncompressed footage is huge, you know, especially as we go to higher resolutions. So obviously you don't want to like, hey, I turn in my my 10-second 50 gig movie, right? Because it's just going to be ginormous. So these are pretty small movies, so it shouldn't be that bad, even if you depending on what your settings are. Let's try H.264, and we have quality at 100%, and I'm just going to see what that looks like. Audio is, you can use, once again, it depends on how long it is and stuff, but we're dealing with a short video, so it shouldn't be that big. But AAC is good, and MPEG-4 if you have it. Every computer you go to is going to have different codecs depending on what software you have installed. So if you have a question about it and you're like, man, my files are really huge, just send me a text and tell me, or do a screenshot of what codecs you have, and I can tell you which one to use. Because it gets pretty hairy, you know. But let me just leave it as is. All is lovely. I'm going to hit OK. And then output, where do I want to output this to? And I'm just going to go straight to the D drive for right now and just call it final. And now when it's all ready, I just hit render over here. And now it's plowing through it. Depending on the settings, it could be shorter, longer, whatever. But that blue bar is just, it's plowing through, spitting this out. Ooh, the motion blur looks cool. And just cranking that out. And it's excited because it's finished. So now we go in. Wait for it. Go to my D drive. Date modified. 21 megs, so or 20 megs, so I could compress that down. It's a very small movie, so it's probably, yeah, I could get that smaller. But let's just try that out. And I spit it out as a QuickTime, but I did it also at a high resolution, so you could see that it's actually pretty big.
Hello, my name is Ty.
I'm going to turn the sound off because I didn't do it to that particular sound. But we could see what it is here. Oh, and I see something I have to change. Yeah. So just some different examples.
That's nice.
But you see what I mean? And turn on the motion blur in the layer because it does add a nice little effect when you look at this as it comes in. It just adds more speed to it.
So do we need to upload these right now? Or
I would say you can upload like what you have so far. I want to get this puppy done next week so we spend the rest of the class, which is not too long, on the final piece. So let's put this puppy away, finish it up this week. If you want feedback, post up what you have, like make a short movie and post it up now.
And you want it through Illustrator and After Effects too?
Oh, well, it's all After Effects. You're spitting out the movie out of After Effects. And if the file is too big, give me a text or let me know if it's giving you grief, and I can give you some tips on shrinking it down. Usually it's a codec issue. I used uncompressed sound, so dropping that to like an MPEG 4 is a good idea. But I realize I have to double check because VoiceThread is kind of weird. Some things it likes and some things it doesn't. So I noticed it doesn't seem to like AVIs. That's why I'm like, okay, go with a QuickTime movie. But if you have a problem, just let me know, and then we can figure it out. Worst case scenario, render it next Monday. And so one more week on this, finish it up, and then let me know if you have any questions or if you run into any hurdles. Look at the videos that are posted in there, and at the same time, pick your topic for what you want to do for your final piece, which is an intro or an outro to like a show or to something that you want. People have done like for a commercial or like a quick thing, an intro to a TV show or to a movie where you're going to do titling, and you can use any combination of the stuff that you want. Also next week, I will be bringing in the green screen, so we can start working with video and how to chroma key stuff out if you want to do that. It does not have to be, like, oh my god, I'm going to do epic, but you can basically use whatever format. You can go back to using more 3D with Maya stuff and get into Mesh. You can utilize more kinetic typography and shapes. You can use video and chroma key out the background and even do something like Apple did with their iPod video where it's just the silhouettes of people. I leave it up to you, but come in with an idea or start to have your idea of what you want to do. Cool?
So we have to post the final version by Monday.
Yeah, and then we'll critique it on Monday. And then jump into the new stuff. Yes. So the question is copying to effects or the keyframes or just the effects themselves, or the easiest way is if I have an effect is, let me see what I have here. Hold on. What do I got? Not you. Here we are. So depending on what I have, here we go. And if I have something, I can actually, if I add the effect, I could just copy the keyframes. But if I actually go in, should be able to like select and copy it and then paste it. But you can always copy, once you have the effect or you drop it in, just copy the keyframes from one and paste it into the one that you just added. Does that make sense? So if you have the effect and you select the keyframes of that, Control copy, And then go to the other layer that you might have and then control paste inside your timeline. Is that working? So what kind of, well, first let's back up. What kind of effect do you have?
I've got one object and one solid that I'm trying to put onto another one. It's just the opacity fade in.
So it's a fade in effect? Oh, you mean the opacity?
Yeah, I'm just trying to
Okay, so with that, check it out. All you would do is, let me just make a new composition just so you can see it and it's clean. Part 5. So many parts. So if I had text here, take this, I'm going to duplicate this, bring it down. There we are. So, bring this down. So I have this one, and I'm a key it so I'm going to go to opacity, turn it off, and set a key for it. Let me zoom in a little bit. Key it again. And then right here, have it come in like that. Oh, bloody hell. Stop doing that. Stop. Oh, After Effects. How I love thee. So let me do a save as, because that's what we do. And just so I can be safe, I'm just going to close it real quick and then open it again and see if that fixes. I think it's one of my preferences I have to change because it's acting wonky. I was experimenting. That's always bad. Bad, bad, bad. There we go. Oh, bloody hell, would you stop? See what happens when you ask, like, you know, the difficult question? It's not a difficult question. It's just After Effects is being a pain. So you see I have that there?
Right.
So I'm going to copy these keyframes, select them, Control-C, go to Spooky, go to where I want them to happen, and Control-V to paste them in. That's it. Minus the annoying little menu thing. See that?
Yeah. Okay.
So that's really all you should have to do. Minus the annoying After Effects giving me that unspecified drawing error crud. But that's pretty much it. Cool? Did that work?